Hey there, it's Mary Sheila, and welcome to this Vitality Session trailer. Just a little sneak peek into my full class, which is Conquer Your Cravings. Because let's face it, we have all the best intentions, and those darn cravings often get the best of us. And there's a big biochemical reasoning for that. But I will say one of the main times that people have cravings is in the afternoon. And it could be afternoon, evening, but I'm really going to hone in on afternoon and give you some ideas for some absolutely delicious afternoon snacks that you can use instead of maybe your go-to like chocolate or chips or you name it. Like all bets are off, right? Like let's say you work in an office or something, right? And every Friday somebody brings in the donuts or the chocolate or something. And you're like, no, I am not having those donuts or that chocolate today. And you're good all morning and you're good all day. And that 3 or 4 o'clock time comes and there you go. Or you walk out the door and you grab a few chocolates out the door on your way and eat them on the way home, right? I know that happens to the best of us because it's happened to me before many times. And I really wanted to uncover, why do we have those cravings? Like what is really going on biochemically, but also how can I support my body to calm those cravings? And there's a lot to it. It has a lot to do with our adrenal glands and cortisol. It has a lot to do with our serotonin levels. It has a lot to do with the stress in our life. It has a lot to do with our blood sugar balance. And those are all the things I'm going to be going into more depth in the masterclass, Conquer Your Cravings. But I really want to give you some good tips today and sort of a little bit of why. If you know me and you have followed any of my work, I'm a big fan of breakfast, and I really kind of break some of those ideas down there. So I am a big fan of having a good breakfast to set yourself up for success. And I've had so many people come up to me over the years and say, oh my gosh, since I read your breakfast report and since I've been following what you recommend for breakfast, like I don't crave chips in the afternoon anymore. I don't even need them. Or gosh, when I switched from my sweet fruit smoothie to the kind of smoothie and the kind of breakfast you recommend, wow, I don't crave the chips or the chocolate in the afternoon. So it's a true testament. And I honestly believe, the main way that we can figure things out is going on into our own body is to pay attention to how our body feels. If you feel exhausted and tired and not good one day, what did you eat the day before? What was going on for you? Or what did you have that morning or not have? Or how was your sleep? Right? We can start to add things up, but we have to have a little bit of space that we create to figure that out. And so in the afternoon, we do tend to have lower serotonin. So our willpower, or whatever you want to call it, is definitely lower then. And so we're going to gravitate towards things that are going to sort of falsely boost our serotonin, which often is in the form of sugar. And sugar can be salty because simple carbohydrates turn into sugar as well. So it might be a salty carb or it might be a sweet carb, right? But what is really happening in that time of 3 to 4 o'clock is it is our kidney adrenal time. So we try to eat for our adrenals in the morning, but then we also try to nourish our adrenals in the afternoon. So that salty craving that you have is a real, actual craving that you should address and support. So I want to talk about some nice, salty, nourishing, fatty, good fat snacks in the afternoon. So I'm going to first turn on my stove and introduce you to my favorite new salty craving that I love. So I'm going to turn my my small little cast iron on, not too high. And what I'm going to put in there is my new love affair, which is pecans. I'm a late bloomer to pecans, but I love them. So when I eat pecans, I usually soak and sprout and dehydrate them because I can tolerate nuts better that way. They're more digestible. And I know I'm getting more of the minerals. something I talk about a lot in my Vitality Club on how to properly prepare food. But for now, what I want to just show you is I've got my pecans, so it's a little over a cup, and I'm going to put them into my pan. I don't have any oil in my pan. I'm just going to put them in there and let them toast a little bit. So I love the pecans as they've got a really nice healthy fat. They have a little bit of protein and great fiber, and they have a little carb, but they're very low carb. So I'm not feeding my body a bunch of sugar. I'm actually going to feel very nourished and satiated by eating healthy fats and proteins in the afternoon, right? The other thing that we tend to tolerate better in the afternoon is fruit. So another healthy snack would be having something like an apple, maybe slicing it up and maybe having it with some almonds or pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds or walnuts, but having a little, and when I say how much nuts would you want to have, maybe a nice handful of nuts and something like an apple or some berries or something like that, or really any fruit that is to your liking, and seasonal is always best. So I'm just going to toss my pecans a little bit. I don't want them to get too brown. I just want to toast them very gently. So I often promote eating nuts and seeds more on the raw side, but if you are going to toast them or have them roasted, it's so much better to do it yourself, because then you know exactly what's in there and how long and how hot. And I'm also not cooking it with additional oils at this point. I'm going to add some oils at the end, so I'm just going to give them an extra little toss. So as my pecans are toasting gently on my medium heat, I am going to prepare some rosemary, because I'm going to make some toasted pecan rosemary pecans. Yum. So what I'm going to do is I have a nice fresh piece of rosemary. You can also use dried. I'm going to use the whole thing because I just love the flavor of the rosemary in these, and I'm just going to strip it off the stem. Once it's stripped off the stem, I am going to chop it. And I'm going to chop it as fine as I really would like it to be. I honestly do love a few pieces that are a little bit big because they get a little crispy in this process and taste absolutely delicious. But I'm just going to go ahead and chop it up. Doesn't have to be super fine. And I'm going to just put that in a little pile. And in a moment, I'm going to add that to my pecans. So I want to see if I can start to smell them. And I'm also going to look to see if they're starting to get a little bit browner, okay? Because I want them to get a little brown, but not too much. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add half of my rosemary. That adds a little sound to the story. So I've got my rosemary in there. Ooh, it's smelling really good. And what I'm going to do is when I'm ready, I'm going to add the rest of my rosemary. I'm going to turn off my heat, and I'm going to add a little ghee and a little olive oil. Now, if you don't like ghee, you can just use olive oil. You can use whatever you want. If you're a huge fan of coconut oil, you can use that. It's not the flavor that I'm going for, particularly for me in this instance, but I can see when coconut oil would be a really amazing flavor. Maybe if I was using some different spices, maybe if I was using cinnamon or nutmeg or something and making it a little bit more, kind of adding some of those sweet spices. So there we have it. Ooh, it's smelling really good with the rosemary. I'm going to throw the rest of the rosemary in, and I am going to turn this off. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of ghee, about a little less than a teaspoon. And I'm going to also add about a teaspoon, maybe a little bit more of, probably about a tablespoon of olive oil. Now I'm just going to toss it with my utensil, and I can also move it around like that. Now I have the heat off. So yes, I am cooking my oil, but my heat is off. I am really just trying to coat my nuts. The pecans are getting coated. They've got the nice rosemary infused. They've got the olive oil and ghee. And now I'm going to add a little salt. And there we have it. Now I've got these beautiful toasted pecans. They are such a savory, delicious, satisfying snack, which is exactly what you are going for when you want to have, when you have cravings. You need to be satisfied. And I know that a lot of times we are just trying to satisfy ourselves with sugar, but we need to satisfy ourselves with nourishment. And that's the whole thing. The other snacks that I would love to include with my rosemary is going to be some olives. Olives are salty. Olives are extremely adrenal specific. And olives have really good, great oils from the olive oil. So here's what I'm going to show you is how I'm going to create a really nice little snack. I'm going to take a pickle. Okay, beautiful pickle. I actually just bought these. Sometimes I ferment them myself, but I haven't in a while. It's the middle of winter, so I've got my fresh pickles from a local company in Sonoma County where I live. So I have half of a pickle there. I'm going to put I'm going to actually make 2 plates because pickles are pretty salty. When you cut them into little bite-sized pieces, one little bite just adds a flavor explosion to your mouth that doesn't necessarily mean you need to, eat a whole pickle, right? Sometimes you just need a little bit of that flavor. It goes a long way. The pickle is a ferment. Sometimes your bacteria, your microbiome are what is craving. So if you feed your good bacteria with some probiotics, it's going to kind of drown out the noise of maybe the yeast that's like really wanting something. I'm going to put 3 olives on this plate. And these olives are Kalamatas. I love Kalamatas. There's a few that I love. I really love these ones. And one of the things that I like about these olives too is they do have the pit in them. So guess what? I'm going to have to be more mindful and take it a little slower. The whole idea around an afternoon snack is to savor your savory snack. Savor it in a way that it becomes more satisfying. So I've got that going. Now I've got my nuts, and I'm just going to put about another little, maybe about 10 of these pecans on each plate. And there I have this beautiful savory snack. Well, I've got 2 so I can share right here. And this is going to be, it's on this little tiny plate. Now, there's a beauty to the little tiny plate. I'm not going to just sit here and do stuff and munch. I'm actually going to sit down and look at my food and taste it and savor it so that I can satisfy my craving, right? We have to make sure that what we're eating, we're kind of connecting the dots between the gut and the brain. So this is just one little tip and one little thing that you can do as an afternoon snack. And these rosemary pecans are the bomb. They're so good. And so this month, I'm going to be talking all about cravings. I have recipes that are absolutely delicious. I have handouts. I have supplement recommendations of amino acids that can literally support you in lowering your cravings. And I also include a Q&A call. So as a part of the Vitality Club, here's what you get. You're going to get a full class where I'm going to really break down the physiology of cravings, your neurotransmitters that are involved in cravings, and your adrenal glands and cortisol, and your gut, the health of your gut and how that affects your cravings. All of those are going to be laid out with clear action steps on how you can lower your cravings, because I know that we all have health goals, and in order to achieve them, we have to make changes and shift. And sometimes conquering those cravings is a barrier to the goals that we have. So in this class, I will teach you and share with you how your body works, but also what you can do on a daily basis to overcome those cravings. And another thing that you get when you sign up for this masterclass is a Q&A live session with me and our community. So once a month, I get on a Zoom call with everybody who wants to join and answer your questions. We have a lot of fun. We learn a lot from each other, and it's really, really valuable for everybody who comes and joins the class. And what the great thing is that if you have questions, you can ask those questions on the call. And if you're like, gosh, I do have questions, but I can't make it, you can email me those questions ahead of time and I will answer them live on the call and you'll get the recording. And you'll be a part of our Vitality Club Facebook group, which is a really fun group and another place to ask your questions. So I invite you to join me in this masterclass all about cravings, which I will go into some basics around blood sugar, which is the foundation for your health, right? So if you're going to build a house, if you're going to build anything, the first thing you need to do is build your foundation. This class will give you a foundation to really building healthy habits that support you in lowering your cravings so that you can reach your goals. So I invite you to join me. Thank you so much for watching this, and leave a comment below if you'd like and let me know how you like these rosemary pecans. I promise you they're delicious. Have a great rest of your day and I'll see you soon.